We're still working in chapter 5 of the Unreal Engine Shaders and Effects Cookbook. This one, again, is a pretty quick one, but it's really an interesting one where we're going to be working with an emissive material. And yeah, we've done emissive materials, like a very simple one. But in this case, we are going to make an emissive material that actually affects the rest of the scene, because usually emissive materials, like, they look like they're glowing, but they don't affect objects around it. So the first thing we do need to do is we need to find the BP Light Studio Blueprint asset. We can look for it in the outliner, and we do want to make sure that we're looking under HDRI, and we want to make sure we are unchecking use HDRI. The reason is we're going to be making glowing stuff, so we don't want to, have the scene being lit by, that stuff. So actually, let me save this. I forgot to save out my level. And we will begin. Let's make our material. Just going to right click, and we're going to name this one M_lightbulb. And we are going to change this over here, the shading model, from default lit to unlit, like that. And let's start actually setting this up now. So we need to create our texture sample. So T and click, and the texture we are looking for is T_lamp color. So this one. We're going to add then a cheap contrast node. And we're going to feed this into there. And we'll, come on, let's feed it into there. And we're going to make a scalar parameter of, we're going to call it contrast intensity. And set it to something like 2. Hook this into our contrast. And we can start to see what this is doing if we do our enable preview. And, we're trying to make it kind of glowy, is kind of like the idea behind this. So we do want to be able to kind of control some of this. So like, this is going to be a good alpha for us, but we do want to have, we're going to put this down here. This is going to be a good alpha for us for our lerp. Should I just do it this way? I always forget. L click, stop previewing, and feed this into that alpha. So we're going to want to kind of mess then with adding in our colors kind of back into there. We're going to have like some darker areas and some lighter areas. We do want to be able to kind of maybe play around with that a little bit. So I'm going to add a multiply. Sorry, actually 2 multiplies. And we're going to need 2 more scalar parameters. The first one is going to be called dark area brightness. And then the second one is going to be called light area brightness. And we will hook RGB into the multiply. We'll hook this then into there. And we'll set this to a parameter of like 2, because it's the dark areas. And then we, because think about this right here. This is what we're thinking about, this alpha. So like the darker areas on there, and then the lighter areas. Our light area brightness, we're going to set to 500. This gets fed into the B. This RGB gets fed into there. This then is our B node. in the lerp. And then this is our A. We can then feed this into our emissive color. And you can play with like these parameter settings. You can kind of mess with that contrast intensity if you're not quite happy about that. But you know, like I said, this is a very simple model or simple material. Let's go ahead and get it hooked up. So let's hit save. Close this off. Let's find our lamp and let's apply it to this one. So we can get closer to it. There we go. We can see it is emitting around the scene. There's some other settings that we can do. If we scroll down underneath lighting, we want to make sure that use emissive or static lighting is checked on. Where is that? Just so many settings. Where is it? Oh, it's under the light mask settings. Oh, right here. Use emissive for static lighting. That way that when you bake it, it will actually affect that baked light as well. Let's go to the post-process volume next. That is in here. And let's set the global illumination method to, where is that? None. Gotta turn it on. There we go. We need to make sure that we are set for static lighting. So if we go to engine, project settings, engine rendering, we would want to look underneath, we'll just search for it, allow static lighting should be turned on, and it is already. We need to make sure that is set. And then we're going to build out the lights. So let's kind of get a better view. We do this by, we go to the build lighting only. Let's allow that. If we're lucky, this won't take too long. I'm going to pause the video. Oh, let's see. It is very bright, but you can see what it's doing. It actually baked it all out. You could tweak the settings then if it's too much or too little. It's a little bit much for me. I probably want to tone it down a bit, but we are getting it successfully baked onto here. But yeah, pretty easy, but a very effective way. Makes stuff look a lot more realistic if your emissiveness is actually affecting your light bake.